welcome to the graphic organizer of how the beaver stole fire from the pines. So the first thing we're going to talk about in this story, we're just going to focus on the main characters. There are two main characters, and both of them are in the title of the story. Our first main character is Beaver. And what did Beaver do? He stole fire from the pines. That is our second main character. The pine trees. Yes, and then I'm just going to draw my little pine tree. Voila. So those are our two main characters. Now let's talk about where the story takes place. Where and when this happened. So, in the story, it's mentioned that the beaver runs through the Grand River. And they also go to the Snake River. And both of these rivers are in Idaho. So, right here, we have our where. Now what we need to know is our when this story takes place. And since we know there are beavers talking, it's personification. We're giving animals human-like qualities. So there are trees talking and animals talking, and not a single person is mentioned. So when does this story take place? It takes place before humans existed on Earth. So, we have our where and our when, and our two main characters. Now, what is the problem between the beaver and the pine trees in Idaho? Well, the main problem in the story is that only the pine trees know how to start fire and keep it burning, and they refuse to share this secret with the other animals who nearly freeze to death as a result. So, the main problem, the pine trees are being selfish with their, and there is spelled Their because it's talking about someone's property. So it's the pine tree's property. The pine trees are being selfish with their fire. That's the big problem. And all of the animals are freezing. So here we have all this warm fire, and the pine trees are taking it all and keeping it all to themselves to keep themselves warm. Meanwhile, all the animals are freezing and they're going to die if they don't get warmth. And yet the pine trees are being selfish and not sharing, which is a problem. So, how do we fix this problem? What is the first thing that happens in the story to fix the problem? Well, it starts with our main character, our hero, the beaver, right at the top there. So Beaver comes up with a plan to steal the fire. That's what happens first. Let's write that down. Beaver comes up with a plan to steal the fire. Okay, we got a sneaky beaver. So after Beaver comes up with this plan to steal the fire, what happens next? Well, he hides near the pines, and when a live coal rolls down the bank, he grabs it and runs away. So he hides near the pines and waits for a coal to run by. And then he grabs it and runs away. He then grabs it and runs away. So, first, our problem can be solved by the beaver comes up with a plan to steal the fire. And so how does this plan start? He hides near the pines and waits for a coal to run by, and he then grabs it and runs away with it. And so the coals are how you start the fire. So that's why it's very, very important that he has the coal. So after he grabs the coal and runs away, what happens? Well, then the pine trees try to stop Beaver, but Beaver keeps away from them. So then we can write the pine trees chase Beaver, but Beaver is much faster. So Beaver, forgot to capitalize my B, but Beaver keeps away from them. So I guess a second lesson you can learn in this story is never chase a beaver because he will outrun you. Apparently beavers are fast. But then again, he outran a tree, so how fast can he really be? Okay, anyways, the resolution. The resolution. This means how the problem was solved. So, the main problem in the story was resolved when Beaver crossed the Big Snake River and gives fire to other trees. This resolves the problem, since anyone who wants fire can now get fire from the trees. So, let's write down Beaver crosses what river again? That's right, you nailed it. Big Snake River. And so he crosses Big Snake River and gives fire to other trees. This is because not only pine trees can give fire, a lot of different trees can make fire. And that's why this story is so important, because it tells the history of that. So now, anyone who wants fire can have it. And they have Beaver to thank for that. So let's just go through. Our main characters in the story are Beaver and pine trees. And the story takes place in the Grand Roan River and Snake River, which are both in Idaho. And it takes place long before humans existed on Earth. And the problem in this story is that the pine trees are being selfish with their fire, and all the animals are freezing to death because of it. So how the story goes is first Beaver comes up with a plan to steal the fire. Next, he hides near the pines and waits for the coal to run by. He then grabs it and runs away. Then, the pine trees chase Beaver, but Beaver keeps away from them. And so the story is resolved. The end of the story says Beaver crosses the Big Snake River and gives fire to the other trees. Now, anyone who wants fire can have it. There you have it, our graphic organizer for how Beaver stole fire from the pines.